What's good, everyone? This is Naro, and welcome to my channel and to a new series that I'm introducing called Naro Bedtime Stories, where I read excerpts from some of my favorite books or anything that I find interesting. Now, these stories are not your traditional stories that you read to your children, but just me having a little fun reading excerpts and doing them in a more calmer, probably almost ASMR type style. I will be having some fun and trying some different type of voices in order to make these bedtime stories interesting. I hope you will enjoy as we begin with the first one called Return of the Mack. And then, suddenly, the sparks emanating from the cauldron were extinguished. A surge of white steam billowed thickly from the cauldron instead, obliterating everything in front of Harry so that he couldn't see Wormtail or Cedric or anything but vapor hanging in the air. It's gone wrong, he thought. It's drowned. Please, please let it be dead. But then, through the mist in front of him, he saw, with an icy surge of terror, the dark outline of a man, tall and skeletally thin, rising slowly from inside the cauldron. "Robe me," said the high, cold voice from behind the steam. And Wormtail, sobbing and moaning, still cradling his mutilated arm, scrambled to pick up the black robes from the ground, got to his feet, reached up and pulled them one-handed over his master's head. The thin man stepped out of the cauldron, staring at Harry, and Harry stared back into the face that had haunted his nightmares for 3 years. Whiter than a skull, with wide, livid scarlet eyes, and a nose that was flat as a snake's, with slits for nostrils. Lord Voldemort had risen again. Voldemort looked away from Harry and began examining his own body. His hands were like large, pale spiders. His long white fingers caressed his own chest, his arms, his face. The red eyes, whose pupils were slits, like a cat's, gleamed still more brightly through the darkness. He held up his hands and flexed the fingers, his expression rapt and exultant. He took not the slightest notice of Wormtail, who lay twitching and bleeding on the ground, nor of the great snake which had slithered back into sight and was circling Harry again, hissing. Voldemort slipped one of those unnaturally long-fingered hands into a deep pocket and drew out a wand. He caressed it gently, too, and then He raised it and pointed it at Wormtail, who was lifted off the ground and thrown against the headstone where Harry was tied. He fell to the foot of it and lay there, crumpled up and crying. Voldemort turned his scarlet eyes upon Harry, laughing a high, cold, mirthless laugh. Wormtail's robes were shining with blood now. He wrapped the stump of his arm in them. "My lord," he choked. "My lord, you promised. You did promise." "Hold out your arm," said Voldemort lazily. "Oh, Master, thank you, Master." He extended the bleeding stump, but Voldemort laughed again. "The other arm, Wormtail." "Master, please, please." Voldemort bent down and pulled out Wormtail's left arm. He forced the sleeve of Wormtail's robes up past his elbow, and Harry saw something upon the skin there, something like a vivid red tattoo, a skull with a snake protruding from its mouth. The image that had appeared in the sky at the Quidditch World Cup, the Dark Mark. Voldemort examined it carefully, ignoring Wormtail's uncontrollable weeping. "It is back," he said softly. "They will all have noticed it, and now we shall see. Now we shall know." We've come to the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed. Till next time, sweet dreams.